Chair recognizes our Vietnam veteran, Mr. Baird.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate you holding this session. And, you know, I want to add my condolences to the Gold Star families. As the chairman mentioned, I did my time in Vietnam, and I can appreciate the sacrifice that those families and those soldiers made during that war. So I also appreciate the generals, General Milley and General McKenzie, for both of you being here and willing to talk to us and see if we can find some answers to help these Gold Star families. And so I really do appreciate that. And you know, I guess I want to go to the point of also mentioning that one of the 13 service members that were killed during that evacuation came from my district, and that was Corporal Sanchez. And so I express my condolences to that family as well. In fact, I attended the funeral, and it's always unfortunate when we lose service members. But I guess I want to, in that same vein, I want to change my focus a little bit to the fact that we left about $7 billion worth of military equipment and weapons that was intended for the Afghan military. However, it was abundantly clear that prior to the shutting down the Bagram Air Base, that the administration knew that the Afghan army was destabilized and demoralized. And it was just a matter of time till the Afghanis would fall, leaving these weapons in the hands of the Taliban. So last year, these weapons started to pop up in other conflicts, including Kashmir region, and this was left a war chest of weapons in the hands of the Pakistani-based military group that are designated by the United States as FTOs, foreign terrorist organizations. So General Milley, did the Biden administration have any advanced knowledge that the U.S. weapons and equipment left behind would not be used by the Afghan military and would be seized by the Taliban? And so when was this decision made to notify the Afghan military about these new possessions of these weapons?
Those weapons, as you mentioned, were part of the foreign military sales or assistance over 20 years. So that $7 billion is over 20 years. How much of those weapons were throughout the whole country? I mean, they were spread out all over the place. So there was no specific indicator that I can recall that said this group of weapons is going to go over to the Taliban or anything. We knew that the Afghan military had those weapons. Those were out there. These are weapons. These are night vision devices. These are wheeled vehicles, et cetera. But there was nothing that was specific to say this unit or that unit is going to hand off their weapons to the Taliban or any of that kind of stuff. The general, but I think an important point here is the United States military did not leave that equipment. That equipment was given to the Afghan security force. So when we gave, in Vietnam, the war you fought in, when we gave equipment to the South Vietnamese Army, the ARVN, and the North Vietnamese overran South Vietnam, the Americans didn't give that equipment to the North Vietnamese Army. That's the ARVN. That's the South Vietnamese Army doing that. So the same thing is true, say, in Korea or anywhere else. So I want to make sure that, you know, it's not a U.S. decision on that equipment because that is Afghan-owned equipment at that point in time. And it's completely impractical. Frankly, it would have been quite dangerous for us to try to go out and try to police up that equipment in the summer of 21. It wasn't feasible. We had 2,500 Special Forces guys, and that kind of wasn't their task and purpose. The Afghan government collapsed, the Afghan military collapsed, and the IG, the Special Investigating IG, estimates $7.2 billion worth of U.S. manufactured equipment, not U.S. owned equipment, ended up in Taliban hands. And I do believe, I think there's probably some reporting out there that indicates some of that equipment has been sold on black markets, et cetera. And I have zero doubt that some of that's in the hands of people who have nefarious objectives towards the United States.
I thank you, and my time is expired, so I yield back.